I got him for Lauren. I just had dinner with the Obama, what did you do? Hop up on Twitter talking about the stuff you don't do. Rock off for Lauren, shawty, cause that is what you gon' do. Sabi out of New Balance, some style.
3rd down and 6, right up the gut. That is Gibson, and he is gone. 3rd of the ball game for the rookie Antonio Gibson.
Farms at the farms, all you hear is oi. One time for BDR, we just try and see you out. I used to be with Nas, beating every city up. Watch who you talking to, I'm respected by the...
Picked up, and Mullins fumbles the football. Washington has it back. Chase Young, they're chasing him down the sideline. And Chase Young has a Washington touchdown.
I've been ungrateful but thankful. I've been ungrateful but thankful. Maybe I got it all too fast and too soon. Been living life, no feelings, no rules. And I've been trying to make it last, make it move. But I'ma hop in this foreign and like a fool. I've been ungrateful, I'm thankful. I've been ungrateful, I'm thankful.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Birdie Network podcast. I'm your host, Josh Taylor. In this episode that we're going to call the free agency breakdown or recap, however you want to call it, is brought to you by 500 Level, who specializes in officially licensed t-shirts to help you rep your favorite teams and players, whether it's NBA, MLB, NHL, and of course, your Washington football team like this sick Chase Young shirt. If you're just listening to the podcast, you can go to 500level.com and check out the shirt. But if you're watching on YouTube, you can see the sick Chase Young shirt where he's running back the fumble against San Francisco. And you can use our code BNP20 to save 20% off. I can't wait to see some of these new guys' shirts coming out that we're going to talk about tonight. I'm ready to get them. And joining me today, as always, my co-host, Brian Murphy, who I'm expecting to grow his beard out full form for good reasons.
I know, right? It's got to be like our quarterback now. I got to look just like him.
Can't wait for that. And then one of my best friends and favorite follows for Washington football team, Manny Chokuba, who does the Talking Sports with Manny podcast and the Back Row Redskins show. Manny, welcome to the podcast, man. Glad to have you on.
Man, thank you so much for the invite, man. Let's get it.
I know I had a blast on your podcast not long ago the other night. If y'all haven't checked that out, do so. But like I said, tonight we're going to recap all the free agent signings so far, give some predictions of, possibly some other guys that we could sign, and then take a look at the draft and see what really changed with free agency. So,
Absolutely. First
big one, we finally found our quarterback, Ryan Fitzpatrick, 1-year deal, $10 million. Brian, I'm going to go to you first. What do you think about signing Ryan Fitzpatrick? What was your first thought? Was it the guy that you wanted? And, when the news broke, what was your first reaction?
Yeah, so I'll be completely honest with you, and I've told you this, and I tweeted it out. I fell asleep, and so I woke up to the Ryan Fitzpatrick news. I think I woke up to your text. I saw the ESPN blurb and a bunch of other texts. I was not expecting it. I really thought they were going Mariota or were going to just wait for the draft. I just kind of was getting that feeling. But I like it. It's growing on me a little bit more. I mean, Ryan Fitzpatrick, I love watching him play. He's really just kind of like a shot in the arm. You just kind of you inject him and you go out there and you get what you get. So I'm kind of excited to see it. I don't think that he's going to light the world on fire. I mean, we've seen that he's kind of turnover prone. He still has a losing record over all these years, but I think that where we were at a certain point last year, Ryan Fitzpatrick is certainly an upgrade. And I'm kind of growing warmer to it the more I think about it and the more I see about him.
Yeah, I think Tay and Todd podcast put up a tweet the other day, like showing the comparison between Ryan Fitzpatrick in the last 16 starts and then the mediocre quarterback play, I hate to call it, that Washington's had last 16 starts. And it was like the exact same amount of snaps too, which was pretty crazy. It was like 599 or something like that. But just the overhaul of yards, the improvement in touchdowns, just overall play, you can only imagine what Ryan will bring to the offense. And that's my question for you, Manny. If there's a people on the outside that don't watch Washington football, they have no idea what they're getting with Ryan Fitzpatrick. How would you summarize Fitzpatrick and what does he bring to this offense?
Man, Fitzpatrick is going to bring some energy. He's going to bring fire, man. The guy is so passionate. There was a play that I saw versus the I don't know what team it was, but he was playing for the Miami Dolphins at the time last year, and he handed off the ball, and he had a lead block. So that's the kind of guy that you're getting. You're getting a guy who's passionate. You're getting a guy who's willing to sacrifice everything for the sake of winning. And you look at the receivers that he has played with, guys like Chado Chocinco and Terrell Owens, Deshawn Jacksons of the world,
Brandon Marshall,
Eric Decker,
some old time guys.
They love this guy. So he's going to bring that passion, that heat, and he's going to be able to make some plays. He's going to bring some excitement, and that's something that has been missing for a while. You know, Alex Smith, God bless his heart, he was good. If you've listened to my pod, you know that, hey, I need a quarterback that gives me a chance when we get down. And that's what Fitzpatrick is going to be able to do for this team.
Yeah, and I was really looking for that stats for Fitzpatrick and kind of seeing what really stood out to me. And there was one, and it was really just me comparing Fitzpatrick to Alex Smith and some of the other quarterbacks we've had. You know, I hate to say it, but it seems like with our offense, it was boring. It kind of seemed like we knew J.D. Mckissick was going to get a check down 80% of the time on the pass plays. I hate to say what, but that's just how it is. That's exactly what it looked like. One stat that really stood out to me was the top 4 highest graded quarterbacks passed their first read since 2019. Number 1 was Russell Wilson with 91.5%, or his grade. Josh Allen was 90.6. Pat Mahomes was a 90.1 grade, and Fitzpatrick was an 86.7 grade. So, to me, it's like we're not just relying on that heavy check down. He's going through his progressions. You know, if the first guy is not there, he has something downfield. He's not afraid to hit that deep ball. And, Brian, that's what I was going to ask you is that's something we're not used to is going deep all the time. How does this really benefit guys like Terry McLaurin and another addition in Curtis Samuel that we'll talk about? And really opening up our offense, we're not just checking it down to J.D. McKissick, looking at, you know, a slant with Terry 5 yards down the field. How does this really open up the offense?
Yeah, I think it's huge. And I think, I think back to that catch that Terry McLaurin made against the Jets down the sideline. I mean, there just have been a few 50-50 balls where this guy just goes and gets it. And Ryan Fitzpatrick, I think for the first time in Terry's career, is going to be a quarterback that kind of lets him go make plays. And that's going to be so refreshing. Throw it out there. Terry's a special player, and he's going to make a good percentage of those plays. It'll be refreshing to see them take some shots, and that'll open up underneath stuff to when, whether it is Logan Thomas or Antonio Gibson out of the backfield, that's when you catch them off guard. You got to be able to stretch the field, especially in today's NFL, and They've been lacking that, not just last year, but I think last couple years.
It's been a while.
I mean, we talked about it feels like all last year. Take a shot, do something to just try. And we know Fitzpatrick's going to do that, and I'm really excited about it. And like you said, not just Terry, but Curtis Samuel seems perfect for that. I'm really excited to see them run under some deep balls for a change.
I will say this. The one thing that stood out, we kind of talked about, Manny, you kind of hit on that. He really elevates his weapons too. Like he didn't really have much in Miami. He had a little bit in Tampa Bay, obviously with Godwin and Evans, and it seemed like they played even better because of him and his willingness to go downfield. But this is something crazy that I've seen going around Twitter too, specifically in how it affects Terry McLaurin being wide receiver 1 right now. Mm-hmm. The targets that Fitzpatrick has towards his wide receiver 1 is 137, 128, 148, 141, 134, 146, 128, and 173 targets in a season for his first wide receiver. Can you imagine Terry McLaurin getting 173 targets in a season?
Bruh, if Terry gets anywhere between 120 to 100 and let's just say 60, he's going to have close to 90 to 100 receptions. He's going to have, need I say, at least 1,500 yards? I mean, and then the touchdowns. Imagine Terry McLaurin lined up on the right side, right? And then he runs middle. But because of the speed and the arm of Fitzpatrick, he turns that middle route up. We're going to get some unexpected deep balls, some unexpected plays to where, like you said, they're going to open up the offense even more. You can do so much more with the speed that we have on offense, not just Terry, not just Curtis, but also Mckissick and Gibson. You're going to see Gibson get some wheel routes, and I mean it's going to be really exciting. And I think Terry is in for a big season.
So
let me ask you this: what was Terry McLaurin's first touchdown in the NFL?
A bomb.
Bomb over the deep middle against Philadelphia week 1, and everyone was like, "This guy's going to be special." That deep ball, and then the offense kind of fell off, so we didn't see that as much. It was Terry slants, then using his speed to get past the second level, third level, hitting it into the end zone. What are you going to say, Brian?
I was going to say, I was looking at his targets and made me curious what they were. I mean, 134 targets this past season. I mean, are you with me? I'm betting the over on that for next year.
Yeah, and he hit 1,000 yards.
I think that's going to go way up, and that's already a good share of targets, I think.
Yeah, like Manny said, if he hits 160 targets, come on. I mean, that's like what, another 15, 20 catches.
Right.
That's crazy. And our offense is going to be better if we have more weapons to spread it out. Oh, yeah.
Right. He's so sure.
So this is my question for both of y'all. I want y'all to kind of tag team on this one. Because this is the hottest. This is the hottest one, and I've already given Manny my take on it, and I've gotten attacked for it plenty of times. And I've told Ryan how I feel about this too.
Okay.
Does signing Ryan Fitzpatrick specifically eliminate Washington from drafting a quarterback this season? Go ahead, Brian.
I think I think that it does in the first couple of rounds. I think if they take a quarterback, it'll be at the earliest third or fourth round. I don't see them going for a guy at 19 or moving up. I think they're willing to ride with Ryan Fitzpatrick and kind of address the quarterback long term as they move forward. So for me, I'd be kind of surprised if they drafted a quarterback. Not saying that Ryan Fitzpatrick's the answer by any means. I think that he's going to start the most games this season for them. But I would be kind of shocked to see them draft a guy in the first round. That's me.
What do you say, Manny? Do you agree or you disagree with Brian?
I agree, but with a twist. So I don't see the team taking a quarterback in the first round. And after the first round, there's really no need to take a quarterback. You have Allen, who you traded a fifth for last year, and you tendered him. So, but let's say that there's a quarterback that they like. I think there's 5 top quarterbacks in this draft. People say 4, but I'm throwing Mac Jones in there. That's 5. If there's a quarterback that they like, right, within reach, let's say pick 14, there's a quarterback that they like. Let's say 3 quarterbacks get picked for some odd reason, and there's 2 guys left, and there's 1 guy that they like. There's a possibility that they can trade up from 19 to 14 and cut Allen. I mean, I think Allen is a guy that gets cut if they were to draft a quarterback. Now, I'm not for them drafting a quarterback in the first round. I'm like, hey, just rock it out with Fitzpatrick, and then go into the next season drafting a quarterback. But I'm telling you guys, if there's a guy that they like, if they draft that guy, I think Allen is the odd man out.
And I can agree with you. That's been kind of my stand all along is, and someone recommended to me that, like, hey, why don't we just cut Allen? You have to remember, like, this was Ron's guy in, Carolina. So much that he traded a 5th for him. And, like, if you kind of think back to that, like, a 5th is a pretty good bit for a guy that, we would just, make a backup or cut possibly. And after one game, and it was a good game, like, he was probably the most efficient quarterback play we had last season. In that one game, I know it's a small sample, but still, you have to really just think about, like, how much improvement would you get from a guy like, I don't know, Kyle Trask, or like, I don't know, Shane Buechele, or, someone like that. Like, what kind of improvement are you really banking on? Like, I think Kyle Allen's better than, Shane Buechele or, some of those middle tier guys.
I agree.
Possibly. The same name that keeps coming up, Kellen Mond. If he's there in the 4th, okay, maybe. Just because his big frame, he can use his feet. He doesn't show up in big games. I'm going to leave that out for the guys that love Kellen Mond. But, like, that is a possibility. But to me, the best case scenario is Mac Jones falling to us at 19, not to draft him, but to say, hey, New England, hey, New Orleans, come get your guy. Like, what are you willing to give us? We're going to move back, 3-4 spots, still get wide receiver, linebacker, whoever's there, offensive tackle, doesn't matter. But I think it'd be a good bait. Because at the same time, teams don't know that we don't want to draft a quarterback.
That's true.
They're like, hey, Ryan Fitzpatrick's a 1-year guy. They might want Mac Jones to ride out, after that. They don't know. So that's what I like about Ryan Fitzpatrick, because it's that flexibility. It's not a Marcus Mariota where he might be the quarterback of the future, depending on how he plays. If we sit him, then we wasted a ton of money kind of thing. With me, Ryan Fitzpatrick, like, he did that with Tua. Like, he sat the bench, came in, came back off, came back in. It's like if Taylor Heineke by some way beat him out, I feel like he wouldn't be, like, stumped or, like, have a bad attitude or, like, be that kind of guy. He's just there to support the team any way possible, which, if you really think about our quarterbacks the last few seasons, when's the last season we had just one quarterback play the whole season?
It's got to be Kirk at some point.
A long
we're just
time
going
ago.
on 5 years or whatever.
Williams.
It is now.
Yeah. That was probably more recent than that. But still, like at some point, I'm sure we might see Taylor Heineke. Like, knock on wood, hopefully we don't. But to me, like I liked with what Ryan Fitzpatrick brings, and it wasn't like hey, our future's fixed, or hey, we're demanding a quarterback right now. Like we need one, like we did before.
Well, that's a good point you bring up. Is like guys like Mariota, or the talk about Darnold. Those are guys that you're absolutely right. They're question marks. Are they going to be the long-term guy? Are you going to have to cut bait after this year because you realize, oh, it's not the system, it's not the scenario. They really just suck. Ryan Fitzpatrick is what he is. I mean, that's honestly why I'm growing so much more. I'm warming up to it more because he really is. It is what it is. He's going to take some shots. He's a gunslinger, but he's going to get the job done as long as he's in there. And so that's why it's kind of really growing on me. And the more I think about it, the more I can get behind him being the quarterback for this year as they continue to figure out what the long-term plan is.
Yeah, I agree.
I agree.
Yeah. I think we're all on the same page. Like, we're not going to trade up to get Trey Lance, or we're not going to trade up for Justin Fields. To me, it just doesn't have that feel. And we talked about it on your show with next year's class and what that looks like and how spread out the first round is. So to me, it really does feel like we got a guy who can throw that rock, and he might just be our guy for that year, but he's going to make it a good year. Like he's going to be on fire every time he goes out on the field.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So talking about, people who will benefit from Fitzpatrick, my favorite signing so far, Curtis Samuel. And to me, the biggest question, Brian, with so many options at wide receiver, when we signed Curtis Samuel, did we sign your guy like that you wanted? Or did you want Galladay more? Did you want Allen Robinson more? How high was Curtis Samuel on your list?
Well, Robinson I would have loved to have, but the franchise tag, I think, took any shot of that out of there. I mean, Allen Robinson probably would have been the top of the list, but of the realistic guys available, I think Curtis Samuel makes the most sense. And I'm not just saying that now that we've got him, or now that, that he played in Carolina or anything like that. I just think he makes the most sense. He's young. He can do a lot of different things. And we talked about that on our show all the time, just the versatility that Ron Rivera loves, but Scott Turner loves. And he just fits that mold beautifully. He can hit a deep route. He can run underneath. He's got good hands. He can do something out of the backfield. I just think he gives you so much flexibility. And for an offense, outside of Terry McLaurin, I'm just saying pass catching wise. I mean, Logan Thomas is what he is. I think he surprised us all. But for an offense that lacks some legit pass catchers, I think having another versatile guy that can take some of the pressure off Terry McLaurin is so huge. And I think that Curtis Samuel makes a lot of sense. And, it seemed like where there was smoke, there was fire. And we're like, is this really going to happen? And it did. And it made too much sense not to. And I'm like you, I'm so excited.
It was always just too good to be true. Like, we've always just hoped.
Yeah.
And I remember back when we signed Deshawn Jackson, like how excited I was. To me, that was like the first actual free agency signing, like maybe Josh Norman, where I was like, holy crap, we actually got this guy on our team. Like Albert Hainsworth, and that didn't last long, but that excitement was shot down quicker than it actually happened. But I remember Deshaun Jackson, I was like, oh my gosh, we got this guy. Our offense is going to be next level. And I'm even more excited about Curtis Samuel because of what he brings to our offense specifically. It'd be a completely different story if he's going somewhere like the Jets or a completely different offense.
Right.
But what exactly, we talk about the versatility and stuff like that. What exactly does that mean, Manny? What does he bring to our offense specifically, and how does he help out the guys around him?
Man, this guy, to be honest, when I thought of Curtis Samuel, even though I've seen him play, I've always thought slot. Because if you look at last season, right, he was playing with two guys that played predominantly on the outside, in DJ Moore and what's his name?
Robbie Anderson.
Yeah, Robbie. Yeah, so, you naturally just think, okay, he's a slot guy. But this guy is more than a slot guy. When Ron left, there's some talks about, he played better when Ron left. You know what I'm saying? But the guy can do everything, man. And with his speed and his age, the age is what really captured me. Yeah. Out of all the guys out there, I'm like, man, his age and then his talent, he can rush the ball. He can return kicks if we wanted him to, which I don't see us doing that. But let's say there's a game that, hey, we need a special play on special teams. You can throw him back there. You know,
like Deshawn Jackson used to do. Yeah,
like Deshawn Jackson. You know, he can go deep. He's just so versatile. And when you hear versatility, you always think it's just like a cliche. No, he can literally do it all. And as free agency continued to approach, I started to warm up more and more to Curtis Samuel. And I mean, he was up there top 3 for me. He does it all. He does it all. There's nothing that he can't do. And I'm expecting a lot of deep passes to Curtis Samuel this year. Yeah.
So 2 huge things that you hit on that I specifically circled in my notes. Yes, he's only 24 years old. That is not a typo. 24 years old. People talk about how young Juju is. Like, Curtis Samuel is only 24. And I'm sure you've seen by now him and Terry play together, and Haskins could have been part of that mix. But that didn't turn out so well. But you talk about the deep passes. Do you know who had the best percentage of deep pass catching last year?
Let me guess. Curtis
Samuel.
Wow.
So we talk about Fitzpatrick throwing the deep balls. He had a 77% catch rate on deep targets in 2020, the highest among all wide receivers in the NFL.
Wow.
Insane.
That's awesome.
And that's for a guy that ran the ball 41 times from the backfield. Like, he lined up in the backfield.
That's my big thing. I mean, I know what he can do, X's and O's, and he's going to make legit plays as a wide receiver, but I can't wait till the time they come out there with, like, Gibson split out wide and Curtis Samuel in the backfield, and we just catch the defense off
in
guard.
the slot.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that just it's so unreal, like the weapons that they have and the versatility. I mean, I'm really excited, and I think Scott Turner's gonna finally be able to open up his playbook. Whereas last year with 4 different guys and a couple of guys that were just kind of breaking into the league, didn't know his playbook at all. Now you got a guy that's been around forever. You got 2 guys, in Allen and Heineke, that know his playbook pretty well. He's got to be ready to open up this playbook and call some really awesome games. I really am excited, and I think Samuel is so legit and such a huge weapon for them that's just going to add to some of the signs and some of the positives we saw last year.
Yeah, one thing I mentioned the other night on Manny's show was – oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I said, like, the interesting fact is he's been in the league 4 years, Curtis Samuel, right? And he's younger than Terry.
Right.
That's crazy. That's
got the
that
experience.
Makes no sense. But the good thing is I would love to see both of them grow together. They're both part of the future. Even though he got a 3-year deal, he's definitely in the future plans. And you can have both guys on a team for the next 5-6 years and still getting maximum production.
And they want to play together. It's not like they didn't go to college together. Like Chase Young, they all want to be here. So
it kind of reminds me of like Jarvis and Odell, just how much they love getting the chance to play with each other. I don't know what happens with Odell if that changes, but I mean they really are legit like best friends, and it's really I don't want to say sweet, but it's kind of awesome.
Yeah, get that LSU. Oh, LSU love talk off of this podcast.
No, not LSU. I don't care about them. I'm talking about our guys, Curtis and Terry.
Yeah. No, and you mentioned and last year someone brought this up to Curtis Samuel in his media meeting today. His targets and everything went down last season, but his production went up.
Yeah.
And they were like, "Why is that?" He's like, "Anytime I get the ball, I'm just going to make the most of each touch, each catch, doesn't matter what it is." And they even asked him, like, was, question at quarterback, did that hinder your thought at all? Like, and did Fitzpatrick help that out? And he's like, no, literally my job is to make our quarterback better. I don't care who it is. Like, I want to come in and make whoever it is job even easier. So I was like, man, this guy's just sweet talking me at this point. Like, I loved him already, but it just keeps going up. But one thing I wanted to hit on, and people like, and I brought this up, what I was going to say is I brought this up the other night too, is with our offense pre-snap motion, we haven't seen all of it yet. Like, it's coming. Like, and I keep telling people, you've seen probably 75% of our offense. And if we get one vertical deep tight end, like, our offense is going to just completely open up. Like, unlike we could even imagine. Like, people are going to be like, I've never seen this kind of offense run in Washington before. This isn't the Bill Callahan run show. Like, just grind the clock out. It's going to be like the speed show. It's going to be the circus on turf is what I'm going to call it. I'm going to trademark that. I just thought of it, so nobody steal it. But if you imagine, like, think about Gibson in the backfield. And then you have Gibson go out wide. Curtis Samuel comes in the backfield. And you have J.D. McKissick line up as wide receiver. J.D. McKissick had the second most catches by any running back last season.
Mm-hmm.
Antonio Gibson played primarily a wide receiver at Memphis and was a darn good one.
Yep.
And he's learning his second season as a running back, so he's getting even better at his role. And then you have Curtis Samuel, who does both too. So you have 3 guys on your team who can do both receiving and run the ball and have done very well at a high level in all 3 phases.
Right.
So you have them
Thomas
just
throws it.
Yeah. So, and he just motions to the backfield. You have no idea where the ball's going.
Yeah.
It could be an end round with Gibson and Curtis Samuel stun the block. It could be a straight run with Curtis Samuel. It could be a wheel route with Gibson or J.D. McKissick, like you said. Like, there's so many options that adding one guy like that, and it's not even just like a rookie. It's Curtis Samuel. Like, it is a high-level player who knows exactly what you want to do on offense.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't have to learn much. Like,
Right.
maybe a few things that Ron's changed possibly since being here, or getting to know his players and that chemistry with Ryan. But he knows this offense already.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's like, hey, shoot me out the cannon. I'm ready to go. Like, and I'm ready to go. Like, just talking about it gets me hyped. So I think we're all ready for him. And we've talked about what he does to his offense and how much that really, elevates our offense. We'll talk about in a little bit draft plans at wide receiver, if that changed any. But another guy that we signed, William Jackson III, a guy on defense who we were all freaking out when Ronald Darby left. We're like, great. Ryan said we're going to keep our guys in-house. We done lost KPL, Darby, Sundberg's leaving us, like breaking our heart, Ron. Like, what's going on?
Mm-hmm.
And then he pulls out this Joker card, and he's like, not so fast. Y'all had no idea this was going on behind the scenes.
Right.
And then we signed William Jackson III, who was the number 1 rated cornerback by PFF in free agency this year available. So not only did we lose a guy, but we completely upgraded the position. Got a younger guy who is actually way better than Darby. Hate to admit it. Love Darby. He had a great season. But this guy is young and reliable. So a 3-year deal with $14 million each. And one thing I mentioned is that's cornerback 2 money, but you're getting quarterback 1 play out of this guy. He's better than Fuller.
Yep.
Like, love Fuller. I think, like, I'm sure Fuller would admit it. Like, he's cornerback 2 again.
Yeah.
He's WJ3's quarterback 1.
I think Jackson said that Fuller reached out to him. He probably was really excited that it's not going to all fall on him in the secondary now.
Yeah,
I mean, he legit has another guy over there. And you're right. No offense to Ronald Darby, who I think kind of played out of his mind in a contract year, and he certainly earned it. But I still, maybe I'm biased, but I do think Jackson is better, and I think that they got a steal in this guy. And honestly, he's out of the 3 big ones, he's probably my favorite because of, like you said, it was so under the radar. It makes so much sense. It's almost like, how do we not see the puzzle piece fit there? Because it makes so much sense to have a legit guy like that. And another guy that's pretty young. And so I'm just so excited. We talked a couple of times, we saw a couple of times, these corners in the secondary was to be had. It was a little sloppy at times, and that's not William Jackson III. And I'm excited for this guy.
Right, man.
William Jackson claims a lot.
Man. Look, he's a dog, man. He's a dog. He's going to hit you in the mouth. He's not afraid of competition. He played some of the best receivers in the league last year and shut him down and held his own. So when you're getting a guy like that, just imagine like a Josh Norman, but better. I think he's better than, to me, in this defense with the pass rush and Del Rio and Ron Rivera, he is going to be a top 5 corner this year. There's no doubt in my mind. I mean, he's long, he's rangy, he's fast, he's physical. What more can you ask for? Darby played very, very well. He batted down a lot of passes, but this guy can actually hit you in the mouth and still bat down the passes. So you can put guys on his island and know that, hey, this side of the field is shut down. Y'all take care of the other half. I got this.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? And so with that, then it's going to elevate plays of guys like Jimmy Moreland. Now he gets to, play a little bit more physical. Then you got guys like Fuller who's saying, hey, bro, thanks for coming out here, man. You bailed me out, man. I'm not a CB1. I wasn't ready for this. Appreciate you, man. You saved me, bro. You saved me. So I'm excited. I'm excited about this signing right here.
I don't think Washington has had a physical press corner like WJ3 in a long time. Like, you talk about Josh Norman. He was one of those guys that would get up in your face, literally slap you across the face mask before the play. I think WJ3 is even more physical than that.
Oh, yeah.
And my question to you, Manny, is people are going to say, the Gamecast fans, And this guy's got 3 interceptions. How is this guy a cornerback 1? What's your response back to someone who says that?
Look, the same thing he said in this press conference today. Check the tape. Check the tape. When you check the tape, you'll know why. Because people don't throw to him. He has that respect. So when I saw the 3 interceptions, in my mind, I'm thinking short down corner. Before I look at the tape, you see 3 interceptions. You see a guy that was drafted in the first round, so first round pedigree, right? And you see 3 interceptions for a top corner. He's a shutdown corner. People respect him. So how can he make plays, right, if people don't test him as much, And then when they do, he holds his own. So, but with this pass rush, he's going to have an opportunity this year to have.
He's going to be able to be aggressive and cut routes off.
Look, I know it's not predictions time, but I'm telling you right now, he's going to have at least 3 picks this year. He's going to have maybe more picks this year than he's had in his entire life.
He's gonna get 3 picks and be like, this is easy. Why wasn't I on this team years ago? This is
Why
easy.
did y'all draft me?
Right.
No, and one thing that I've brought up, like how him and Kendall are really different. Kendall Fuller is an off-the-ball corner, and that's why it's easier to get interceptions because you're anticipating routes, you're jumping routes, you're getting in front of the receiver, you're running it for him. You're able to get that space and that cushion and close in on the ball and make interceptions. When you are a press corner and you're literally stuck on your receiver at all times, your main concern is breaking up the pass. Your one hand is literally stuck with the receiver the whole time, and your opposite hand's batting down the pass. You know how hard it is to catch an interception in traffic when y'all are both just fighting hands?
That's discipline.
You don't want to cushion as a press corner. You are stuck on him the entire time. Like, you're not trying to break routes, and then he beats you deep, and he just runs past you. You're sticking with him the whole way. And to me, that's one thing that I mentioned, another stat to you, Manny, was that WJ3 has allowed the lowest completion percentage at 49.4%, which is really low.
Yeah.
And the second lowest average target separation of only 2.2 yards with his receiver in coverage since 2017. And that is better than Bashaud Breeland, Stephon Gilmore, Denzel Ward, and Xavier Howard.
Wow.
Number 1 in the league. And that's what we talked about. You're not going to see the interceptions on the tape. But if you roll that beautiful beam footage of WJ3 just sticking with his receivers the whole time, you are seeing pass breakups. You're just seeing a wide receiver getting frustrated the entire game. Who was it? Ryan Trotter brought it up that game against the Lions with Kenny Galladay, who's a 6'5" physical freak. He shut him down. He had 2 or 3 catches for 20 yards.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. He probably signed his birth certificate after the game.
In basketball, let's say in the NBA or let's say in the college right now, if somebody's going off, you go box and 1. And that 1 is out there to shut down this guy. That means, hey, all 4 of y'all can do something. But this guy, this Steph Curry looking dude right here or this LeBron looking dude, we're going to run a box and 1 on this guy and you ain't going to do a thing. So when we play Dallas and he's out there saying, Amari Cooper, you're done. Who else are we playing? If you can take the best receiver out and make his production, cut it in half. That's a great way to think. You say, hey, Kenny Galladay, you're not going to do nothing. Amari Cooper, you're not going to do nothing. Odell, you're done. That's amazing. That's an amazing weapon to have. You know what I'm saying? Cutting the whole
New York signed Galladay. We've seen what's going to happen with that. We've seen the tape. Go ahead and sign him. At this point, he's like, Baltimore, y'all sure that's all y'all got off of me?
Right.
Come on, let me go play in AFC North. I don't want to deal with this guy again. But like you said, we have Amari Cooper. Love Amari. But I think WJ3 can handle him easily.
Oh, yeah.
Daniel Jones is going to hate us. He's probably going to retire after the season. He's like, I'm sick of this. You're going to trade me?
We're going to destroy him.
Oh, God.
Once we get a linebacker, he can't run like he used to run. So we get a linebacker, he's shut down. He has to throw the ball. Apple turnover Jones. That's what I call him. He's going to feed us, and we're going to eat because we're hungry. You hear me? We're hungry, bro.
It's going to be a mess. I'm telling you, we're going to get a linebacker, and we still have some cap to do so. So I'll even segue into that. Right now, we re-signed a couple guys. David Sharp, who we traded for last offseason. Lamar Miller, that vet running back. Cam Sims, Dustin Hopkins, and then Danny Johnson, who's, to me, going to be our return guy. Yeah. And then depth at the corner spot. And then we added linebacker David Mayo, who played in Carolina, played at the Giants, and then he played a little bit at the 49ers too, I think. And then center Tyler Larson, who was, once again, another Carolina guy. completely fine with Carolina guys, by the way. People make it a big deal. Like, these are guys Ron's played with, scouted, evaluated, been around. You don't have to interview these guys. It's not like they changed character in the last 2-3 years. Like, he knows what he's getting, and it's just depth pieces. So, to me, that's cool. And if you think about it, we probably have to spend about, $5-6 mil towards our draft picks this year. It's usually about the average. So right now we sit at 21 mil. So just say roughly 15-16 mil left. Brian, with that is a lot of money.
Yeah. A lot of money.
That's more than what the Saints and the Eagles had going into free agency. So, we done signed everybody. So Brian, if you had to make a prediction, I'm sure news is going to break. Let me check Twitter and make sure nobody hasn't signed anybody yet.
Anthony Harris signed with those Eagles, and apparently he picked them over Washington. So looking forward to targeting him 2 times a year. Yeah, my thing is, I wonder if Washington is staying away from some of these 1-year deals. It doesn't seem like they're real eager to give those out, because 1 year $5 million doesn't sound like a whole lot. So I'm curious kind of what happened there. Or, are they just kind of, I don't know. I don't know all the details, but I honestly thought that Anthony Harris might be coming here. That makes me want to get a safety in here one way or another. Malik Hooker, maybe.
Boston.
Yeah. I mean, after the draft is what I'm hearing for him or seeing about him. So a safety would be nice. And then we've already talked about a linebacker would be huge, whether it's the 19th pick or like a guy like Quan Alexander, who's pretty young. I know he's bounced around a little bit, but that's a guy that stands out to me as far as a free agent available. One more piece to the defense, honestly, would be really, really huge for me in the free agent market.
I agree. I want like one more vet linebacker, like KJ Wright. Who was it? Eric Wilson.
Yeah,
you put me on, bro.
Yeah. Maybe one of those 2 guys.
Hey, I'm on that Eric Wilson train. I've looked at him, and the guy looked good. I mean, I think he had like 122 tackles last year, 3 sacks, and 3 interceptions. That's big. That's exactly what we're looking for. So, hey,
I knew a little bit about him. And then Nate shot me that breakdown that he did, which was phenomenal. That dude's played all 3 positions in the linebacker spot. Like, we talk about versatility. Like, we need technically we need like all 3 spots. Sam or Cole Holcomb's going to hold down his Sam spot or wherever we put him. Right. But like being able to move him around, we still don't know what's going to happen with John Bostic. Like, he could retire tomorrow. Like, we don't know.
Right.
I mean, and then Khalid Hudson, I'm not ready to throw him to the Wolves and being a starter in the NFL. Like, I love that he got more reps. He showed some flashes, but same like I've been saying with Jeremy Reeves. Like, it's one thing to do well in a limited role, but it's a whole nother thing to start 16 games every single snap.
Exactly.
So do you think with that 15-16 mil, counting the draft pick money left over, do you see us making any more moves? Or do you think, like I posted that Thanos video, Ron's going to just sit back and watch the sunset?
Look, if Ron wants to do some game changer type stuff, he can go and get him a starting linebacker and a starting free safety and head into the draft with all the options. Like, I would love an Eric Wilson. I would love a KJ Wright. I'll take Hooker. I mean, Anthony Harris would have been perfect on his team, but I think the reason why he chose the Eagles is if he goes to the Eagles, they're trash. They have nothing, okay? If he goes to the Eagles and balls out, that's a big payday coming. But if he comes to Washington and balls out, they're gonna say it was a defensive line.
He's gonna leave next season.
Yeah, they're gonna say you stacked the deck, and you went over there and you was just ball hawking and had 8 picks. I mean, that's what he's gonna have if he's on this defense. He's gonna, be out there roaming around. That's pretty much all he has to do. So, but I believe if Ron wants to just make a statement right now and get Eric Wilson, who's versatile, you can use him everywhere, and maybe get you a Trey Boston, I mean, it makes us pretty good. And then we can still get a Xavier Collins in the draft at 19. So, I mean, I see 2 more pieces coming, 2 more big pieces. I just don't know where, but I see 2 starters in free agency.
Let me ask you this one, maybe the rich getting richer. We saw the other Fuller get released by Chicago. Do you think Ron would get greedy and maybe get him in there? And, I mean, up that secondary, let Kendall rotate out the safety. I mean, is that a realistic option? What do you guys think?
That might be the reason why we didn't get Harris. Maybe we lowballed Harris. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, he probably knew we had money, and we're probably offering 5, and maybe he was insulted and went to the Eagles. But I think Ron has a plan. Ron has a plan. He always does. I mean, he does he does his research. He waits around, and there's going to be more guys that get cut anyways. So he's probably trying to he's looking around, weighing all of his options. And when he offers you a deal, he's not going any higher. If somebody else is going to bid $1 more million over what he's offering, he's like, bye. He does it all the time. He does it all the time. So, I mean, I can possibly see it. If he wants to take a discount and come for a 1-year, $5 million deal, I think that's the move. I mean, you have to. At this point,
I think he wants to get paid though. Like I think him in Denver or Cincinnati or somewhere like that, or even San Francisco. That's like my dark horse for Fuller. If Sherman leaves, they want like to keep steady corner play. So I think San Fran would be a good spot. For me, you brought up Fuller. I had Washington War Room DM me last night about this too, and was like, "Hey, like, what do you think about getting Kyle Fuller?"
Right.
Me personally, I'm just not a fan of Kindle playing primarily in the free safety role, and I know he could rotate and stuff like that, but I don't want to pay Kyle Fuller $10 million to be like a rotational guy or a slot guy, because then you have Jimmy Moreland who's like, what the heck, guys? Like, I'm doing pretty darn good. And then you have so much money invested in your two corners, and then you have Kendall Fuller at full-on free safety at that point. And then if he's not doing well at free safety like full-time, then you're like, all right, we got to kick your brother out and put you in corner. And then Kyle's kind of like, dang, I should have went to Denver.
Right.
And play with Justin Simmons and Darby, like balling out.
Yeah.
So to me, it's just it creates a possible problem. Like it sounds good, like you're building a Madden roster. Like sign everybody. I don't care about Jimmy Moreland. Put Kindle in the slot, put Kyle on the outside, and then that's like a dream scenario, honestly, because Kendall Fuller feasts in the slot role. When we had him before on the team, he was primarily a slot corner. But my last question for y'all is, how much, possibly getting a guy like Richie Grant in like the second round, how much does that stop you from signing a Trey Boston? Like, because you're like, we signed Trey Boston, but Richie Grant's there. Like, we want to draft you, but then Richie Grant's not going to sit out. That's a day one kind of quality starter in the safety role. And then Trey Boston's like, I'm not going to the bench. I didn't come here to be a backup. Like, how much do you think that really, like your draft board and then your draft plan, how much do you think that really affects signing more guys or a linebacker?
Right. I mean, I look at it as in a different way, because if you do get a Trey Boston, then you can't get a Richie Grant. Then you got to like go another route. If you go offensive tackle first round, then, hey, maybe you go guard or maybe you go tight end in second round. So you make a valid point. It's one or the other, So if you don't go free safety in this free agency, then we know we're going free agency in the draft regardless. And I won't be surprised if Ron trades back just to ensure that he gets his guy in the first round, because, when teams know what you need, Giants can say, oh, you guys wanted this guy? Oh, we have that guy from Alabama, but guess what? We're going to go ahead and get him anyways. We're going to stack the deck anyway. So, I mean, it's going to be interesting. I just want the for sure thing. I don't want us to say, okay, we're not going to get Trey Boston because we're getting Richie Grant, and then come draft time, there's a safety run at the end of the second. So the draft is not guaranteed sometimes, but I totally get where you're coming from.
I think I got to think that Ron's got plan A, plan B, plan C, and he's fine with really any of them. But, yeah, he's going to be smart. I don't think he's going to break the bank. I don't think he's going to panic and reach for a guy in the draft. And that's why I think I've seen, people say if Trey Boston was a realistic thing, it might be after the draft. You know what? Maybe he's plan C because, they didn't get a top-of-the-line guy in free agency. The cards didn't fall the right way in the draft. And then, you know what? We've got a legit guy that knows the defense in Trey Boston. Let's go get him now after the draft, So I think, it comes down to trusting Ron. I really, in a year and a half or however long, not even that, he's been on the job, I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt, and I know that he's going to pull the right strings and pull them at the right time.
Yeah, I mean, if Ron just shows me his big board, this can eliminate all the problems. So
yeah,
I'll reach out to Ron and see if I can get a peek at his big board. But guys, it's been a good talk. We might possibly have some more signings coming up. It is reaching 10 p.m., so you never know what's going to happen. But Manny, it's been a pleasure having you on. Let everybody know where they can follow you on Twitter and follow your free agency thread, man.
Absolutely. Hey, thank you so much for inviting me on the show. I had a blast, man. You guys can follow me on Twitter at Manny Chokuba. You guys can follow me at the Back Row Redskins at TS with Manny. Yeah, I'm very busy. I have 3 pages. But on my personal page, Manny Chokuba, I have the free agency thread, and I have every single move as it happens. The only moves that won't be there right now is the moves that happen now, like the Dan Arnold signing.
Dan Arnold, too, yep.
Yeah, so
I was going to tell you.
I
didn't want you to miss out.
I was looking. I was like, oh.
Manny said, I thought Manny was going to pull Adam Schefter, like, guys, I got to go. I got to post on the thread. I gotta go. But Manny, like I said, man, it has been a pleasure. If anything happens, be sure to follow Manny on Twitter because he'll be the first to have it. He might even have it before Adam Schefter, so you never know. But if anything happens, we'll bring y'all another episode. But it has been a pleasure. Brian, Manny, I'll see y'all later.
Peace.
Make it move. But I'ma hop in this foreign and like a fool. I've been ungrateful.